This video that you're about to see was produced way back in 2007. It was the third in the Gem series. If you recall, I had made my Apollo 11, the Little Gem, which covered a certain Apollo 11 telecast that propagandists had misleadingly exploited. Then I had made my Flagging the Gems video, which proved that the Apollo 10 telecasts were all pre-filmed and edited together, and that Mark Gray had been suppressing existing NASA flight footage. And then I had made the third in the series, which I called Better Late Than Never. Flagging the Gems, of course, covered the Apollo 10 telecasts in particular, while the Better Late Than Never covered the Apollo 8 telecasts. In particular, I critiqued a certain scene from Tom Hanks's From the Earth to the Moon, a certain scene from the episode on Apollo 8, which I thought was extremely misleading. Right? And so, Better Late Than Never was scheduled to be posted on YouTube about a week after I published Flagging the Gems, but just hadn't been up for more than 5 days when Mark Gray filed false DMCA takedowns on the video, claiming that I had abused his copyright. Yeah, right. And even though the Spacecraft Films DVDs are heralded as being direct from the NASA archives, for the longest time, Mark Gray would file DMCAs on not just me, but anyone who would use the Spacecraft Films DVDs to critique the Apollo program. And so, for the longest time, I had to get my NASA footage from elsewhere. I had to get it from old NASA documentaries, old documentaries from the BBC, or from Discovery Channel, or from whatever. But over time, you see, back then, my Moonfaker series hadn't evolved into the massive series that it is today. And so over time, I was able to salvage little bits and pieces of information that I had also covered in Better Late Than Never, and included that in my various Moonfakers. And of course, by the time the DMCAs were overturned and Mark Gray had long since backed off, well, my Better Late Than Never had been pretty much picked clean, you know, and the only thing I had left really was the critique of the scene from Tom Hanks's video. And so, really, I was at a bit of a dilemma there, because here I was, free to post whatever NASA footage I wanted, and yet now I have this unreleased video that has pretty much been covered elsewhere, mostly. And so, on and off, I had considered posting it on YouTube. Sometimes I had considered releasing it as a little bonus video for a Moonfaker DVD. I've been meaning to release my films on DVD, but obviously times have been hard. I've been busy with other things, and so that never really came about. But people who've been following the radio shows that I've been doing will know that I kind of slipped up on a recent Reynolds Reveal radio show. I believe I've produced, in the Moonfaker series, I've produced about 90, well over 90 videos. I forget the exact number offhand. I also produced the 2 videos of the Gem trilogy, of the Gem series, which was let's see, there was Apollo 11, the Little Gem, and Flagging the Gems. And so, after careful consideration, I finally decided to release Better Late Than Never, and at last let the Gem trilogy be complete. And I can't think of a better time to release Better Late Than Never than 8 years to the day that JW Studios came to YouTube. But before I do that, I'd just like to get this out of the way real quick and save myself a million comments from people saying, "Oh, but it's just a docudrama, it doesn't have to be 100% historically accurate. People are allowed to take artistic licenses." That's true, but there's taking artistic licenses, and then there is being misleading. I believe this is the latter. That being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy Better Late Than Never.
Hey, we've got a problem here.
What did you do?
Nothing, I stirred the tanks.
Whoa. Hey.
This is Houston. Say again, please? Houston, we have a problem.
Award-winning movie star Tom Hanks has gained a measure of notoriety for his support of the American space program. As a member of the National Space Society, Hanks has made many motion picture productions about the Apollo moon landings, most notably the movie version of Apollo 13. 3 years after the release of that movie, Hanks produced a mini-series with each episode focusing on one moon mission after the other.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The series was called From the Earth to the Moon. Needless to say, the miniseries does little more than echo and promote NASA's lies. But there is one episode that raises some serious questioning. It seems that Hanks was able to do a TV version of Jim Lovell's other mission to the moon, Apollo 8. Apollo 8 was originally planned to be the first flight with the CSM and lunar module in Earth orbit, with astronauts Jim McDivitt, Rusty Schweickart, and David Scott as the crew. However, after the Russians spooked the United States with the erection of the N-1 and the successful recovery of the Zonda 5 spacecraft, it was decided that Apollo 8 would loop right around the moon and back, without the lunar module. The original mission objectives would be carried out on Apollo 9.
Whether I think it'd be inhabited or not.
Before we continue this discussion, as the Zonda 5 spacecraft has been given a mention, there is one issue that must be cleared up.
Hello, Apollo 11.
Much like the 3028 telecast from Apollo 11, this Soviet spacecraft is another dead horse that the propagandists continue to flog. Which brings us to the number one argument against the moon landings. After years of painstaking research, one man was finally able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the mission was a scam.
You can't possibly go somewhere without dying. You couldn't ever have gotten there. Now, I found a physicist who was once working for NASA. His name is Malden, and in his book, Prospects for Interstellar Travel, Malden states very clearly that you must have at least 2 meters of water shielding, and I add, or its mass equivalent of other matter, surrounding all life forms in space. Well, that would probably be an 1/8 inch of lead or more.
Yeah.
These ships had no shielding. They would like you to believe that those suits, which were composed of silicon rubber, nylon, and aluminum threading, were radiation proof. They were not. And if they were, then why did they put them into TMI? Because that pile down there still hasn't been brought under control. It's still bubbling away. Even as early as 1963, NASA engineers and scientists, in a book called Aeronautical Engineering and Science, stated that even minor solar storms would give people 25 rem per hour through a 1 centimeter thick aluminum hull. Now, the holes on the LEM were about 2/1000 of an inch thick. You know, that 25 rem figure must be much, much higher. Well, when you take off in a rocket and you're going to the moon, you spend at least 1 hour in the Van Allen shield, and 1 hour going and 1 hour coming back. Now, Captain James Lovell, who I call in my book now Liar Lovell, made 2 trips to and fro. Okay? Now, if it's kind of deadly you can't even make 1 trip, but he made 4. And when asked in a deposition how much total radiation he had, he said 1/2 rem. Okay? In a deposition on a lawsuit. Henceforth, since I can prove different, I've called him Liar Lavelle in my book. I amended my book. Every time you see his name, it's Liar Lavelle. Actually, they were all liars, but he's about the worst.
In response to René's argument, the propagandists typically refer their audiences to the circumlunar flight of the Zonda 5 because of the biological payload it carried. The standard argument is that this spacecraft flew a couple of turtles around the moon and back without lead shielding. Henceforth, if turtles can survive the journey, so can humans. It sounds good enough to the casual listener, but there is one major problem with this statement.
breaking up now.
Turtles can take a dosage as high as 15,000 Rad before being killed. Humans cannot even survive 500 Rad.
But it could pick a better spot.
John, you're just beautiful. That is the most beautiful sight.
Whilst digging through NASA's reports, René learned that on April 17, 1972, whilst Apollo 16 was on its way to the moon, a powerful solar flare erupted. This was the largest flare ever to occur on a single Apollo mission, as it lasted between the days of April 17 and April 19. Going with the 25 rem per hour figure, over a 3-day period, at the most, you're looking at a total dosage of 1800 rem from this one flare alone. Although a dose this high would be fatal to any human being, this figure is well below the lethal dosage for turtles. Why even compare the two species? Having sorted out the subject of radiation, we can now return to the subject at hand. Apollo 8 was launched on December 21st, 1968. Here is a clip from Tom Hanks' reenactment of Day 3 of that mission.
Apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzels with noodles. Wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things.
I just want to tell you all that the commander feels just fine.
Very good, Apollo 8. We are happy to hear that.
I mean, I feel great. Bill Anders is our cameraman today. Before he tapes all of our filters over the TV lens, where I look back at you all, Command Module Pilot Jim Lovell has a message for a special someone. Happy birthday, Mother.
Hey, cut the Borman. Show Dad again.
We're maneuvering now for
Yeah, but only if he
camera.
takes off that Snoopy cap.
Boys.
And the Earth is now passing through my window. It's about the size of the end of my thumb. Waters are sort of
Wow.
royal blue.
Dad's far away.
And the clouds, of course, are bright white.
Are they gonna show the moon? No, Dad can't see it yet. Something about the angle of their flight path.
Imagining is
Left to show it tomorrow night when they're in orbit.
I was a lonely traveler from some other planet. What would I think about the Earth from this altitude? Whether or not I think it was inhabited.
I know we're here.
Well, what I'm just curious about is whether I'd land on the blue or the brown part of the Earth. Better hope we land on the blue part.
Notably, in Tom's version, Anders points the camera at Borman and Lovell floating around in zero gravity before turning the camera to the window to get a good quality picture of the Earth. To a conspiracy theorist, a question is obviously raised by this. Is Tom Hanks' representation of the event actually the way it happened? As was evident with the 3028 telecast from the later Apollo 11, whenever we saw full-body shots of astronauts, the camera conveniently cut before we had to look out the window to see the Earth.
Well, I think about all is reasonable without getting hot and sweaty. Alright, right.
It's like a dead man, walking, talking low, like I'm...
Propagandists usually love to cite the little gem as evidence for their cause, until they realise that there were no astronauts seen in the shot in question, and that the source material their clip came from was an edited video that supposedly never cuts away. Fortunately, JW Studios has access to all the public domain footage from Apollo 8, so it is now possible to compare the reenactment with NASA's official video footage. Before we do, let's watch Hanks' version of the December 23rd telecast again.
Command Module Pilot Jim Lovell has a message for a special someone. Happy birthday, Mother.
A quick look at NASA's transcript, which is freely available from their website, indicates that Lovell says this phrase at the 31 hour, 23 minute and 28 second mark. Now it's a matter of finding the telecast this statement came from. I did find the telecast, but right away there's a problem. The slate indicates that it was filmed on December 22nd, not December 23rd. Let's now watch this video and see if we do see the good quality view of Earth in the same shot of the astronauts in zero gravity.
He's on candid camera. Very good.
Okay, Apollo 8, we have a good picture.
We're rolling her.
Captain,
We're rolling around to a good view of the Earth, and as soon as we get to the good view of the Earth, we'll stop and let you look out the window at the scene we see. Jim Lovell's down in the lower equipment bay preparing lunch, and Bill is holding a camera here for us both.
Captain, why don't you just give him a little bit of a word picture of what we were seeing down here to help him as he does this.
All right. Okay, we're getting a pretty good picture, but if you'd move it a little slower every time you move it around, why it breaks up on the scan.
We got you. This is known as preparing lunch and doing P23 at the same time.
Yeah, you got everything. You've got everybody standing on their heads down here.
How it goes? You got it turned upside down? You got the wrong rest mat.
We all have our problems.
That's perfect.
How's the picture now, Houston?
That's really good.
That bag.
Okay, now we're coming up on the view. We really want you to see us, the view of the Earth. And if you'll break for just a minute, Bill's going to put on the large lens. So we'll be right back with you.
Okay, thank you.
Houston, we're now showing you a view of the Earth through the telephoto lens.
Okay, we're not receiving the picture right now.
How about now?
Okay, we don't have a picture yet.
You seeing anything at all, Houston?
Okay, Apollo 8, we don't have a picture yet.
Alright, we'll put the other lens back on and we'll show you out.
Apollo 8, how about standing by on that for just a minute? Let's check our ground link. Apollo 8, we have a picture now.
Network
Okay,
flight.
let's try the other lens again then once again.
Okay, thank you.
Network flight.
Talk on a loop. Talk on a loop. Okay. Talk on a loop, Bernie.
Do you have a picture now?
Oh, that's a negative. Capcom, do you understand? It looks like it is an onboard problem because they're losing it at both places. It doesn't appear to be a site problem. Yeah.
Apollo 8.
Stand by one, Capcom.
Apollo EVA.
Ecom, are you the television expert? Or FAO? Who knows the most about that camera? You got any suggestions?
Okay, do you have anything, Houston? We've had on the Earth.
I don't have anything.
Okay, we're having no joy.
Okay, stand by. Okay, how about now, Houston?
Still no joy. You don't have a lens cover on there, do you?
No, we checked that, as a matter of fact. Anything?
Still no joy.
Econ, no words of wisdom for us, huh?
Negative flight. Ghoststone reports are receiving an extreme white level.
Extreme light level?
White.
Does that mean we ought to tell them to close the lens down some? Or do they have an adjustment on the lens?
Flight network.
How about now?
Still no
Both Bill
joy.
and Goldstone still report no joy.
There's a picture. Okay, we have a picture.
You said nothing.
Okay, it's a little difficult to see what we have.
That's the Earth, but it's not the telephoto lens, unfortunately. It's just a regular inside lens.
Okay, it's coming in as a real bright blob on the screen. It's hard to tell what we're looking at.
Well, you're looking through some haze on the window, too, unfortunately. And the Earth is very bright besides.
Okay, we've got the Earth in about the center of the screen and a little bit low. And it looked like there were some objects that moved across the screen at the same time. You have any comment on those?
That's from a water ice coming off the vent nozzle.
Roger.
How does it look now?
It's still the same thing. It's the target is extremely bright, and it's very difficult to
They want
make
to
out what we're
confirm
looking
the
at.
AOC is on in the camera.
Capcom, what is the
We don't
AOC?
have the, we can't make the other lens work here. I don't know
Automatic
what the
light
problem is.
control.
Capcom flight. Can you ask
Okay,
me
with
that question? which I
Apollo 8,
don't understand?
would you verify that the ALC is on?
We've tried it both ways.
Okay, thank you. What we're getting now is a good picture.
Capcom, ask them to go ahead and just leave it inside the spacecraft until we can think some more about what's wrong with that long lens.
Okay, that's a real good picture. That's the best one we've had. And how about just going in and leave your pictures inside until we can think some more about what we can do to adjust for that light.
Roger. Jim, what are you doing here? Jim is fixing dessert. He's making up a bag of chocolate pudding.
FAO flight.
Yeah, come floating by.
Go flight. Where are all the TV experts located? Do any of those people belong to you?
No, sir. But there is one input that we got is that wide angle lens is a low light level lens, and it will, if you put it on that bright earth too long, it'll ruin the TV
The
camera.
telephoto lens doesn't work. Show him the lens that's the culprit. This lens doesn't seem to be working.
Okay,
right.
they
I can
finally cleared
understand
us,
why
so
we're not-
okay.
perhaps it's a problem with the light transmission through it.
Yes, ask them, caution them against pointing it at the bright earth for too long.
Transmission is coming to you approximately halfway between the moon and the Earth. We've been 31 hours, about 20 minutes into flight. We have about less than 40 hours left to go to the moon. You can see Bill's got his toothbrush here. He's been brushing his teeth regularly to demonstrate how things float around 0 G. like the place for the Astros, the way he tries to catch that thing.
Econ flight.
Flight Econ.
We got any span experts back here in this area?
I certainly
sure
wish
we
we
found
could show you the Earth. It's a beautiful, beautiful view with predominantly blue background and just huge covers of white clouds. Particularly one very strong vortex up near the Terminator.
Flight Econ, they're working
Very,
on it.
very beautiful. Perhaps we'll get some assistance from the people on the ground and be able to determine why this other lens is not transmitting properly.
We're working on it, that's all we can say.
Did you get any light at all coming through that telephoto lens?
Ernie,
Apollo 8, we were getting what you were showing us on here, normal lens,
on that.
and I don't think we got anything on the telephoto. We're working on this now. One of the problems seems to be that it's a low light level lens. We're afraid that you may burn it out pointing it at something that's too bright.
Any kind of a modulation from the camera at all?
Oh. Well, the Earth is very, very bright. There's nothing in the lens you can burn out. The camera still seems to be working. We can give you a lumens reading of the Earth right now if you'd like.
Hey Frank, how about a couple words on your health so I will?
Well, we're all in very good shape. Jim is busy working, preparing lunch. Bill is playing cameraman right now, and I'm about to take a light reading on the Earth. We all feel fine. It was a very exciting ride on that big Saturn, but it worked perfectly. And we're looking forward now, of course, till the day after tomorrow when we'll be just 60 miles away from the moon.
Okay, Capcom.
Y'all look great on Candid TV.
Okay, I just got a reading on the Earth, Houston. It's 320.
Copy, FAO.
The Earth is showing 320 lumens now.
Affirmative. Decon flight.
If you get a close-up of Jim Lovell, Bill, you can let everybody see that he's already outdistancing us in the beard race. Jim has got quite a beard going already.
Decon flight.
Flight Econ.
Can you give me an estimate on when we're going to lose the high gain?
Happy birthday, Mother.
I think we're holding it, Flight. I think they're holding attitude for us.
They are holding attitude?
Flight Econ, yeah, we're holding attitude right now.
Okay.
Okay, Jim's going to take a shot of us from the lower equipment bay, then we have to get back to our passive thermal control or the barbecue mode so that we don't get one side of the spacecraft too hot for too long a time. So we'll be signing off here and looking forward to seeing you all again shortly.
Roger.
Goodbye from Apollo 8.
As the ground controllers said themselves, it's hard to tell what we're looking at. In all honesty, I can't tell if what we are getting shown is actually an overexposed moon or sun. But what is definite is that there are water ice particles seen streaking outside the window. The astronauts aboard even confirm it.
And about the center of the screen and a little bit low, and it looked like there were some objects that moved across the screen at the same time. You have any comment on those?
That's from a water ice coming off the vent nozzle.
Roger.
As you will see a bit later, this ice outside the window is the fatal flaw of Apollo. Clearly, there are no good views of Earth in this telecast.
Houston, we're now showing you a view of the Earth through the telephoto lens.
Okay, we're not receiving a picture right now.
So why did Tom Hanks fabricate what happened during the telecast?
Happy birthday, Mother.
I think we're home.
Also worth noting is that Jim Lovell's land on the blue or the brown part of the Earth was not present in the telecast we saw.
Well, what I'm just curious about is whether I'd land on the blue or the brown part of the Earth. Better hope we land on the blue part.
The transcript shows that statement was made 55 hours, 18 minutes, and 36 seconds. I was able to uncover the video that matched this dialogue. That telecast was dated December 23rd.
Well, I'm just kind of curious whether I would land on the blue or the brown part of the Earth. You better hope we land in the blue part.
Tell him so are we. So are we, babe.
Jim is always for land landings.
Throughout the entire telecast, we see nothing but the Earth. Whether what we were looking at was really a transparency or a model is anyone's guess.
It might improve the quality slightly.
To be fair, some motion pictures based on true stories create fictionalized versions of events for drama purposes, like the party scene at the beginning of Apollo 13. Lovell didn't hold a party during the Apollo 11 landing. At the time, he was at mission control. However, here, Tom Hanks has gone beyond simple fictionalizing events for drama purposes and has taken the step into outright misleading people. The shot of the Earth, filmed at 55 hours and 7 minutes into the flight, is the same shot used in Tom Hanks' reenactment.
We got a very slight improvement with this, but
Evidently, it appears that Hanks took the events of two completely separate telecasts, filmed more than 24 hours apart, and merged them together to create his own fictional version of a live broadcast, without informing the viewer. Those that are without ready access to the raw NASA footage therefore have no way of knowing that in actuality there were no zero-gravity scenes accompanying the views of Earth in the same shot,
I can pick out the...
and are therefore led to believe Hanks's version of events.
Waters are sort of royal blue.
Dad's far away.
Throughout the rest of the mission, only 4 telecasts were shot, but the Earth was only seen twice. The first time, it was seen as merely a pinprick of light outside the window. Given that this is all we see, before we're presented with the convenient colour bar again, the odds that this was actually filmed in a CSM mock-up are high. And the fourth and final time we saw the Earth on Apollo 8, it was the same case with the second telecasts. No astronauts and a continuous shot of the Earth.
Roger, the picture is on the lower right-hand of our screen.
It seems the only times the Earth was viewed, the astronauts were nowhere to be seen in the same shot. And whenever we saw something out the window, there was no way of confirming whether the video was actually taken in space, or if what we saw outside the window was really the Earth. But wait, during the first supposed view of the Earth, we saw ice crystals shooting past the window outside.
Okay, we've got the Earth in about the center of the screen a little bit low, and it looked like there were some objects that moved across the screen at the same time. You have any comment on those? That's my water ice coming off the vent nozzle. Roger.
It seems, ironically, the very first TV transmission filmed on a circumlunar flight would automatically jeopardize all the videos supposedly filmed on the surface. The temperatures on the moon range well above 100 degrees Celsius. The one thing everyone agrees on is that humans cannot withstand this kind of temperature. Some propagandists have suggested that most of the sun's heat was reflected away by the astronauts' white spacesuits. However, as Apollo astronaut Michael Collins writes on page 118 of his book Carrying the Fire, inside an airtight bladder, be it Gemini or Apollo, the astronaut would dissolve in a pool of sweat were there not some way to keep him cool. This statement from an Apollo astronaut tends to suggest that the suit's reflective properties were not as protective as the propagandist would like you to believe. So what was supposedly cooling these suits? Put simply, one of the layers of the suits was the liquid cooling garment, or LCG. Plastic tubes are woven through this layer to allow water from the backpack to circulate the suit. The heat is then transferred from the body to the liquid through the tubing walls, after which the liquid is carried to the heat exchanger in the portable life support system. The water is then rejected into the vacuum of space, where it freezes to ice. That was the coolant. In response to the arguments that the heat would have killed the astronauts, the propagandists merely echo the function of the coolant system, which René perfectly described in his book. Unfortunately, they simply expect the casual reader to buy this lemon, and not once do the propagandists go into detail about the fatal flaws in this design.
You know what the coolant was? They put allegedly, they shot a little bit of water into the vacuum, which immediately causes it to go to ice, just like carbon dioxide does. Yeah. And that cooled the shit out of their chamber. Well, don't worry about it. When we get in space, we'll have this evaporation, and it would work. Until you ran out of water.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They only carried a very little supply. Hey, I dissected that goddamn backpack. And let me tell you, they didn't have very much water in there.
The lunar EVA on Apollo 11 lasted for 2.5 hours. The two respective EVAs for Apollo 12 were nearly double that duration. And the moonwalks on the later missions were even longer. NASA claims their 26-kilogram backpack carried enough water to last them 4 hours on a G-type mission, and 8 hours of water on a J-type mission. Because each bliss was built to catch and disperse metabolic heat generated by the astronauts at an average rate of 1600 British thermal units per hour, by René's calculations, 23.78 litres of water would be required to keep a 37 degrees Celsius suit cooled over a duration of 4 hours. To get an idea of how much water that is, think 12 2-litre bottles of milk. This volume equates to nearly 24 kilograms, and we know that the portable life support system weighed approximately 26 kilograms. Obviously, a 26 kilogram backpack is not likely to accommodate 24 kilograms of water and all the other equipment. If you double this amount for a J-type mission, you're looking at 48 kilograms of water, or 24 2-litre bottles of milk, to give you an idea. In actuality, according to the Apollo Lunar Surface Journal by Erica Jones, the backpacks for Apollos 11 to 14 were supplied with 3.9 litres of water, whereas the life support systems for Apollos 15 to 17 carried 5.2 litres. Obviously, this doesn't even come close to the required 24 litres for a 4-hour duration. In all the pro-NASA websites I have read, not a single one of them goes into detail about this colossal problem with the coolant. Instead, they all expect us to believe that these backpacks with barely any water in them kept the astronauts cooled over a period of several hours.
And besides, you should have seen it, because if you do that in a vacuum and the sun's out, you'll see all those little crystals of ice flying around. They'll be brilliantly lit, especially with 20% more sun.
Yeah, I heard about them.
Heard of anybody yelling, "There she blows"?
Objects that moved across the screen at the same time. You have any comment on those? That's my water ice coming off the vent nozzle.
Roger. This footage from Apollo 8, which we watched earlier, confirms René's suspicions. If the Apollo 8 crew saw water ice floating outside their window, then the water the Apollo EVA suits were supposedly exposing to the vacuum of space, causing it to turn to ice, should also be visible.
In all the hours and hours of videos taken during moonwalks, not a single frame has ever showed ice. This alone adds strong evidence that what we are seeing was not filmed in a vacuum. The presence of ice in the Apollo 8 footage and the lack of ice in the lunar surface footage has become the fatal flaw that has sealed Apollo's fate.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And from the crew of Apollo